everybody to this webinar. On behalf of LawSikho, I am Rajeev Nagpal, a beginner in the field of criminal litigation. In this pandemic situation, we've had the time to review our mental health. Most of us are not comfortable working in the conditions we do, but however, to attain our goals we have set for ourselves. People have suffered problems with their mental, physical, and psychological health, and the work from home has not been easy for most of us since it is a novel concept in India, but the workplace requirements haven't changed a lot. The pressure from bosses and seniors is still very much present and evident as companies struggle to match their targets. So, how does one deal with hot-headed seniors? How does one deal with clients in these unique times? Also, for some of us, unemployment has been very hard hitting as well. In these times, how does one maintain stable health? How does one deal with disconnect from their families and friends due to work intense pressure? What are the ways that one can just do to motivate themselves? And most importantly, at what point should one consult a professional help? Today, join us in a conversation with Vinay Bajaj, who's a life coach and author, along with Ruchika and Ishan, as they will discuss how to maintain mental health for busy professionals. Vinay Bajaj is the author of the book The Power Is Yours and is also a life coach, a certified Reiki, a chakra master, a counselor, and an optimist. Thank you. Over to Ruchika and Ishan.
Ishan, you'll have to unmute. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the great introduction. So Vinay, sir, I'll just start with some basic questions that you can answer, and we will take audience questions. Do you prefer to take them in between, or should we take them at the end?
I think we can take them at the end.
Okay. So I request everybody in the audience to write their questions in the chat or wait until the end to unmute themselves and ask their questions. So for the first half of the webinar, I think I'll ask some questions and then sir can answer. Me and Ruchika ma'am will ask questions and sir can answer, and then you guys can come in at the end. And also, I would just request everybody, every participant to keep their mics on mute and their videos shut until the time you are asked to unmute or asked to start your video. So I'll start. So, sir, Vinay, since a lot of debates are now in the country focusing on mental health due to a lot of stuff that has happened in the past 1 month. So how do you plan, or how do you say that legal professionals who work in high pressure environments, how can they maintain a stable mind, considering that a lot of lawyers are working n number of hours per day without any breaks? It's almost a 12-hour job, 12 to 15-hour job every day. So how do you think people can maintain a stable mental conditions in those in those circumstances?
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me here. Uh, Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to come and talk. To answer your question, the easiest thing one can do is meditate. Just like all of us take a bath every day to clean our body, meditation is like a bath for the mind. So it is as necessary as is taking a bath. And with meditation, you get better clarity, you calm down your nerves, and you can think better. And when you can think better, then you can take better decisions. That in turn lead to better actions, which in turn lead to better results. So the most important thing is meditation. But when we talk about mental health, it's not just mental health that we need to focus on, because if you have a recurring pain in your body, like a neck pain or a back pain, and you want to focus on improving your mental health, you cannot do that because all the time you are focused on the pain. So, along with a good mental health, you also need to focus on physical health, and a healthy mind resides better in a healthy body. So, what I would suggest is include meditation as well as physical exercise in your daily routine and follow it rigorously. There's no other way of taking care of the mind and body.
Right. Ishan, I'd like to put across a question here. So, Vinay, like you mentioned, that it's important for one to meditate to sort of
Mhm.
maintain the mental health. But I think a lot of people even struggle to meditate. It's very difficult to sort of maintain that focus that one should be doing while meditating. So, is there a way? Is there a particular manner in which we should be meditating? And because I think my own few friends, when I recommend them to meditate, they say that it's not possible, we just can't focus, we can't sit at one place and do it. How do we deal with that?
So basically, what we have been told is meditation is sitting in one position with your eyes closed for half an hour, 1 hour, and sitting in silence. That is for people who have already been meditating for a long time. It does not start that way. So even if someone can sit in silence for 2 minutes or 5 minutes and just focus on their breath, that in itself should be good enough to start. And in this day and age of technology, you can get a mentor who is a meditation coach, or you can get some even free applications from the app stores, which will teach you how to meditate, which will give you a guided meditation session. So for people who are just starting with meditation, I would recommend you go with a guided meditation, or you get a coach who can coach you how to meditate. Because if you straight away start and want to reach the highest level of peace and calm, that's not going to happen.
Right, right, that makes
So,
sense. Hmm.
sir, just one question. How does one start? Because I am somebody who has never kind of got the guidance from anybody as to how I can start meditation. So, how do you suggest that one should start? Are there resources on the internet that are available for free, or is there any way that one can look to start doing meditation for the first time? Because initially it is very difficult to kind of just, sit quietly for half an hour just with yourself. So, how does
Right.
one start?
So as I said, there are n number of applications on the app stores which are even free. Some are paid, some are free. You can start with the free ones. There's no problem. There are YouTube videos where there are coaches guiding you on how to meditate. And the basic problem is people are trying to immediately turn on 100% focus. That's not possible. So what you can do is probably in the early hours of the morning when there's no one else to talk to, when you are all by yourself, when you are alone, then go to a corner of your home and just sit down, close your eyes, sit straight with a cross-legged position. Just start breathing and noticing your breath. That should be a good enough start.
Right. Is there
Correct.
any particular app that you recommend for the beginners, or people who would want to meditate? Any particular app or a video or anything?
There's an application called Simple Meditation. It's by Fitness 22 Studio, and the initial, I think, 1 or 2 weeks sessions are free, and after that, it's a paid app. But it's a lovely app. Even after doing years of meditation, I still use that application because it not only deals with your focus, it has various different agendas. There's concentration, there's self-esteem, there's healing. There's a lot of things in that application. So that's one of them.
Right. Like I was telling you when we discussed before doing this webinar, a lot of people, a lot of us lawyers basically practicing have seniors who are really short tempered because the profession is such. We have to deliver everything really before time, on time, be there at places, deal with multiple things. Not to blame the seniors, obviously, because they are at the front end, they are the one to deal with the clients, but
Hmm.
how do you sort of be stable in a situation where the work and your job is really demanding? You have to be at work for a long period of hours. You have to deliver. There's always this pressure that you have to deliver some quality work. And I believe that if you are not mentally stable, you can't really put in 100% of focus. So how
Correct.
does one deal with, the not to actually have very emotional reaction towards it, but how do we practically and sort of mentally deal with these situations?
Okay. So first of all, what you need to remember that it is a process.
Right.
Even the greatest of lawyers have been through this phase,
Right.
and it's probably this phase that made them a great lawyer. It is
Mm.
because of having bosses who are constantly behind you to improve you,
True.
to get you to do better work. Maybe that's the reason they reached where they were. Uh,
Right.
in any field, when you have a good mentor, someone that is pushing you to your limits, that is when you really succeed at something. So that's one thing that every young lawyer should remember, that this is a process, and even those people that you admire and look up to, even those people have been through the same process.
True.
And it's a phase. It's not like it's going to be the same way forever.
Right.
Like I remember when we were discussing, you said for a few years you have to go through this phase, and then you can maybe think
Yeah.
of starting your own law firm. So once you
Yeah.
do that, then this phase is gone. So
True.
we need to remember that this is just a phase that we are passing through, and for for an instantaneous effect, if you ask me, like if I'm having a bad day and the boss is really really behind me, how do I make that better? How do I think stably in that time?
Mm.
Then there's a very small and very simple exercise that one can do. Maybe we can do it right now. So
Yeah.
just close your eyes
Mm-hmm.
and take a deep breath in from your nose, exhale from your mouth.
Okay.
Inhale from your nose, exhale from your mouth. Just do this 5 to 10 times, and after every time you do this, just remember the words, "This too shall pass."
Right.
It's it's an excellent mantra. It always works in calming you down. That is one thing that you can do to instantaneously change your mood.
Right.
And,
Thank you.
and the other thing is, people worry a lot about what is happening and what my boss is saying.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do is focus on giving your best shot. If your boss is saying that you're not doing something right, do it better the next time.
Right.
That is what your focus should be on.
True. That's really insightful, Vinay. Um, I have a very I become really inquisitive because I've read that people who are really successful or want to be successful have a morning routine. Do you believe in the same? Because is it important to sort of have a morning routine? I mean, a lot of people, I don't know how do they get time, but they say that you have to get up in the morning, you have to exercise, you have to meditate, you have to drink a lot of water. But let's just take a very practical example of people living in Bombay who have to travel really far to get at their workplaces, and the life is so fast paced. Like, I'm not talking about the current situation in the pandemic. All of us have had a time to do things that we wanted to always, but when the lives resume, and once we have to be back in those rushing hours, running and eating our breakfast. So how do you recommend, what sort of morning routine should one person have? What is the first thing that you do when you get up? Now, as you have authored a book, and we can see you're reaching where you wanted to always be. What is the routine that you follow, and what is your recommendation for youngsters who are rushing around always?
So, as you rightly said, a morning routine is extremely important because
Right.
uh, when you start your day well, then there's very little chance of the day upsetting you later.
Right.
And uh, at least you should have 1 hour to yourself in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
which could be broken down into various activities. There could be meditation, there could be exercise, there could be yoga. Uh, it could be as simple as reading your favorite book. So, just taking out time for yourself in the morning and focusing on what you want to do will give you an immense boost, and the rest of your day will, it will flow like a smooth river. That's what I have experienced, and I agree that people have to wake up really early and start for work. So one thing that we can do is we can utilize the traveling time, which is something I don't see many people doing.
Right.
What I see is people playing Ludo on their phones, and There are others who are watching movies. I mean, there's no problem with watching movies or TV shows, but if you can utilize that time effectively, if you don't have time at home, you're leaving really early, and if you can utilize your commute time effectively, that is that is a huge asset. People who do not have long commutes, they miss out on a lot of me time.
Yeah.
That's what I have experienced. And I listen to audiobooks. I even do meditation while traveling. It's possible. Once you get the hang of it, it's really easy. So we can do that. We can have a good morning routine. If that's not possible, use your traveling time. And if if at all, you can reduce your sleep by 15 minutes, half an hour, and wake up half an hour earlier in the morning. There's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing. There's no substitute to your early morning routine.
Okay.
Yeah, sir, I'd just like to interject and ask something.
Mhm.
So, as Ruchika ma'am was saying that, being in Bombay, the commute time is a lot. But I come from Chandigarh, where, you can get from one end of Chandigarh to another end of Chandigarh in 20 minutes. And I
Mhm.
also, since I am a student, I live in a compulsory hostel college, whereby, our college is pretty near to our hostels. So
Mhm.
I think my question is towards generally towards how students, a lot of my fellow students, we have very, very screwed up sleep routines. In the sense, we don't, most of us are pulling all-nighters 3 nights a week. Our classes start at 8 a.m. So how does
Mhm.
one, do you recommend, some particular kind of routine for, say, students who feel that they're more productive at night? Because I know some people who feel that they're night owls and, they work up until 4 a.m. and then they go to sleep. So what is your opinion on that? Or do you think the students should try and get their sleep hours modified to, what a normal person, you could say, sleeps at?
One should definitely try and meet the biological clock uh, along with sun and moon. But if that's not possible, if you go to bed late, then there's no problem. You take the last half an hour of your day and you do your meditation. There's absolutely no problem with that. You can do that. All you need is half an hour to 1 hour to yourself, working on some things you like, working on some things that will help you improve. The time does not really matter, but if you can keep it at the same time every day, then your body gets used to it. And then it becomes easier to do it at that time. So even if
Right, right,
someone is going to bed at 4, then they can do their meditation from 3:30 to 4. There's no problem.
Right.
right.
Um, I'd like to ask a question here. So, Vinay, is
Mhm.
it important to sleep at night? Because from where I come, parents always say that early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. So, is this really true that to have better mental performance, to have better mental strength, right? One needs to sleep early and be up early, because early in the morning is when your mind is really more focused. Is that true? Is that a correct preconceived notion that most of us have?
I have found it to be true for me. I cannot speak for others, but it's definitely true for me. And there are a lot of highly successful people who are successful in every area of their life. And if you go and check their daily routine, this is what they do. They sleep early, they wake up early. Because when you wake up early, there are no distractions. That is the time when focusing on something is the easiest. So, and on top of that, as I said, there's this natural cycle to things, because of which you should not be eating too late in the night, and you should be sleeping early, waking up early, because our body is meant to work in that cycle. Nowadays, because of the different kind of jobs, because of BPO kind of people supporting US from India, we have these night shifts, and you can see that it is these people who down the line, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line, they start experiencing health problems. It happens. It has happened to many of my friends as well. And when they change their routine, when they follow a more normal routine, then their health definitely comes back to better, in a better position.
Right. Ishan, I think we can unmute Hetal since she has raised her hand. I'd like her to speak and ask a question. You are muted, Ishan. Can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Ethel, you
Yeah.
can go ahead. You are unmuted now.
Hetal, hi, since you have raised a question. Is there a question?
Uh,
I think, yeah. I think,
yeah.
Ishan, you can mute her. I don't think there's a question.
Hello, Ethel. I think
It
I
must
think she
have
can.
happened. Yeah, accidentally.
So, sir, something that I'd like to ask you, which is I struggle with a lot, is time management. Is I always I procrastinate a lot, and that typical student behavior where you get an assignment 3 months from now, but you won't do it until the previous night. So how does one tackle that? How does one tackle that kind of behavior? Because I'm sure that is also the case as you become professionals as well. You're given the same kind of assignments, but your deadlines are your deadlines are not 3 months from now. Your deadlines are
Hmm.
probably 3 hours or 3 days from now. So how does one
Hmm.
tackle procrastination?
Well, Ishan, it's not just you as a student who struggles with procrastination. I think as professionals, all of us, in fact, I myself, was facing this during the lockdown. It has happened so much more that, the emails come in and then the routine, because it has gone for a toss, we end up staying late in the night, we work, but during the day, it has just become very difficult to sort of stick to a routine. So, how do we deal with that, Vinay?
Ishan asked about time management. So we all have 24 hours. It's just that what we prioritize more. It's always about what we prioritize more. So, like you said, if you get an email and you have to work on it till late in the night, uh, I understand that there are deadlines, but if we do not take proper care of our mental health, our productivity keeps decreasing every day. And then your number of hours then just will keep increasing day by day, and the productivity goes down every day. And then that leads to a stage where you're not able to focus, you're not able to sleep, you're not able to meet your deadlines. So it's basically about priorities, what you prioritize more. And uh, if you want to know about how to beat procrastination, then the easiest way is keep deadlines for yourself. Forget the deadlines that your boss is giving you. Keep deadlines for yourself and try to stick to them. Action is the easiest way to beat procrastination. People say that, I procrastinate, that is why I don't take any action. It's the other way around. If you take action, then you do not procrastinate, because as and when you take action and you see the results that those actions are giving you will not think about procrastination. Like when I started writing my book, um, I set a hard deadline for myself that I have to finish it in like 30 days, and I have to write one chapter each day. And when I started writing and I started reading my chapters, what I was writing, it felt so good that it became easier for me to actually take out time and write. I was looking forward to it. And once you start looking forward to some activity, then procrastination is not an issue.
Right.
Right, right.
I'm just going to read something, Vinay, which I have found off late in a book that I was reading. It talks about
Mhm,
procrastination. Just tell me how true it is.
mhm,
How do we deal with such things? So I'm going to just read that out to you.
mhm.
Just a minute.
Sure.
Okay. When you lose, so this is about procrastination. It says when you lose focus, there's a big chance that your serotonin activity is low. That's why you are giving into short time pleasures like going out, drinking, shopping, watching TV, or anything else that gives you short time pleasure. To improve your focus, boost your serotonin activity, research shows that exercise can do that. But something else that's equally effective and a lot easier is a simple mind exercise. All that you have to do is remember positive events that happened in the past. Is this true? Does this help?
So when you talk about serotonin, these are hormones that our body secretes, and it is at a very technical level.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are interested into the technicality of it. Like there are multiple hormones. There's endorphins, there's serotonin, there's oxytocin. You can read about them. You can read their role in your life, but um, the technical terms is not what people are looking for. But the advice that was given at the end, that you think about the positive events, what it does is it secretes these hormones in your body, and it brings more balance. All the organs of your body are functioning better, and when your entire body is functioning better, then you are able to think properly. If you are able to think more clearly, your mind is in a better state, and then, as I said before, thoughts then lead to actions, decisions, and then results.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. So, sir, something that I recently heard in a YouTube video
Mm.
where I was listening to a audiobook is something that helped my productivity lately is this 1 2 minute rule, which said that if you really put attention to what are the tasks that you have, you will see that 60% of those tasks you can complete in the next 2 minutes. And even when I was kind of talking to you and coordinating about this webinar, there would
Mhm.
be I would be listed with so many tasks that I have to contact this person for a webinar, this person for a link. But
Mm.
procrastination would set in. But once I've read about this rule, I've noticed that a lot of things are in our life can be completed in the next 2 minutes. And whatever you can complete in the next 2 minutes, you should do it. It's just about a lot of us procrastinate messaging somebody for something, or maybe calling somebody for something, but that can be done in the next 2 minutes. So I have just found that this is pretty helpful, that one
Mhm.
can really incorporate into their routines. So,
It
sir,
is.
yeah. So, sir, just one more thing. Since you were saying that you have written a book,
Mm.
and that it really helped you set targets as to when to complete it. But I think as students we are in situations where we are, say, we have to give our account of the work to somebody. Like you have
Mm.
to give account of the work to your teachers. The same way, like Ruchika ma'am was talking about, her seniors at work. We also have to, complete our assignments, give the results to our teachers. And you always feel hard done by, and you either feel hard done by or you fear them. So how does
Mm.
one tackle that fear of that higher authority in life? How does one tackle having seniors who you might fear talking to, or having teachers that you always feel uncomfortable with talking to because you're just so afraid of their authority, because you respect them as teachers, but then again, somewhere deep down you also feel that you are a student, they're a teacher. It's they are upper in the
Yeah.
hierarchy, so as to say. So how does one
Yeah.
tackle with that fear of, say, talking to seniors?
I would just add on to that. So, we as lawyers have to appear at before a lot of people, and some have this. It's known in the public that this person is really really strict. He won't consider your arguments. So a lot of people sort of freeze in situations when they want to put across their arguments, and we as lawyers definitely have to keep confidence as our A game. I completely understand that. But in fact, I myself had developed that fear that I may go wrong. And so I would fumble a lot in front of my seniors whenever I had to
Mhm.
explain anything. So this fear of or anxiety that you develop, when you have to do something, but you are all over the place because you can't gather yourself together. How do we deal with such situations, Vinay?
So the first thing you need to remember is which this person that you fear or that is intimidating to you, that person was right there where you are right now a few years ago, and they were going through the same things. So that once you are able to connect that really, then the fear should reduce initially. And I can give one example of my own example. In one of my ex companies, there was this super boss of boss, who was like this tall, uh, heavily built figure, this angry guy who was yelling at everyone all the time. I don't care what we did, he was yelling at us and at the top of his voice in a very rapid tone, and he even used foul language in a professional environment. So it led to all of us freezing in front of him. Even he came and asked something very basic which we knew the answer to, we were not able to answer it many times because we had that fear. Abhi chillayega. That kind of fear.
Yeah.
Uh, so what happened was, over time we noticed that no matter what we did, no matter how good a job we did, he was still yelling at us. So there are just people who have this habit of doing it, and with time it becomes funny and not scary. That's what I have found. If someone keeps doing the same thing again and again, you will stop fearing that. You will stop being afraid of that. So that is one thing that helped me to see it in a lighter angle and to take it as a funny event. ये तो पागल है, तो हमेशा ऐसे ही करता है, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that really helps you. And
Right.
people are not scared of their bosses. This is what I believe. People are scared of losing their job.
True.
They are not really scared of their bosses because uh, there are other authorities in other areas of your life who, if they talk to you like that, you will immediately snap and you will respond to them. Why don't you respond to your boss? It is because you are afraid he will fire you.
True.
So it's the fear of losing the job and not the fear of the person himself.
Right, right,
That's correct.
right. So, sir, just one more question that I'd like to ask you is that, as I was saying that I live in a hostel in my college, so I am away from my family, and
Hmm.
a lot of professionals that I've also talked to are kind of also, struggling to manage time with their work and their family. Uh, I mean, I think one of the positives of this lockdown and this pandemic period has been that we have all been able to spend some amount of time with their families. But
Definitely.
as soon as the country will open up, this is going to go back. That everybody is going to have big demands to catch up to their business revenue targets. So the work
Hmm.
pressure is going to be super high as well. So how does one, as a student who say lives in a hostel away from his family, or how does one who, as a practitioner, has a lot of work and cannot devote enough time to family, how does one manage their family relations in professional life?
So let's take both cases one by one. For a student who is living in a hostel, I think the easiest thing is taking out 5 to 10 minutes and calling your family. I know it sounds difficult because of the thousand things that you have to do, but it's all about prioritize. If you prioritize this task, you'll definitely do it, and you will have a very good relation with your family then. And as and when possible, take a vacation, go back home, stay with your family, and when you are there, don't think about your college or your exams. Uh, for example, if you are a working professional, don't think about your work. Don't entertain calls from work. Don't keep checking work-related emails, because if you keep doing that, then physically you are there with your family, but mentally you are thinking about the work, the email that you just read. Oh my God! Once I go back, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. So to connect with your family, you need to disconnect from your work. That is a very basic thing that I can say. And the other case where practitioners who are definitely living with their family but not able to give them enough time or not getting time with their families, I suggest finding one day that is common where the entire family is not working on their professions, and that day you do not entertain any work related activity. You spend time with your family, you talk to them about your entire week's experience, you talk to them about the new people you met, the interesting things that happened to you, the things you learned. And once you start sharing even the problems that you have, talk about those problems. Maybe one of your family members has already been through that and they'll be able to give you a good solution for the same. So
Right.
you can work your head off for 6 days a week, but that seventh day should be completely devoted to your family.
Right.
That is
I
what I
think
believe.
it's more about the quality time that you spend together instead about the quantity. So it's really important for one to do that.
Yes, because if you are with your family for an entire day, but your entire day you have your smartphone in your hand and you are
Yeah,
browsing through social media and chatting, it's not really time that you're spending with your family. Just
true.
uh, put your phone on silent and throw it away somewhere. You know,
Right.
if it's really something urgent that you must attend to, that person calling you must be having some alternate number and they will reach out to you some way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I now that we're talking about spending the quality time, is there, something that we need to keep in mind to strike work-life balance?
Sorry.
I was saying, now that we were discussing about spending time with family, and we know that for 6 days we have to work, and the seventh day
Hmm.
has to be for the family.
Hmm.
Is there a way that you strike work life balance, getting home on time, leaving on time for your work, being there, producting, having a very productive day, which most of us don't? I feel that is the reason we prolong at our workplaces, right?
Hmm.
So but there may be things that are required to be delivered on time, but how do you exactly strike work life balance, or how would you define work life balance? What according to you is work life balance?
So as you said, there are definitely targets that one needs to meet at times. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that if there's an emergency at work, then you shut down your desk and you leave at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely not what I'm suggesting. But don't make it a habit. Some people make it a habit. Once they see that I'm able to sit till late and complete my work, and it is helping me finish my work faster than others. There's this comparison thing that goes on. There's this competition thing that I'm able to sit extra hours and given more time, and I'm able to do it faster than others. What we don't realize there is might be the other person who is not sitting the extra hours, is going home, spending good time with his family, spending time on himself, and in turn is more productive. And maybe they could finish the same work by sitting till 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., for which you might develop a habit that I have to sit till 10 in the night and complete this. Yeah.
Right,
So that's
right.
one way of striking a balance between both things.
Yes, sir. So, sir, one more question that, again, from a very student, kind of student tunnel perspective, is that,
Mhm.
when you're in college, you struggle with peer pressure a lot. So, not only peer pressure, say, in terms of, say, getting into quote unquote bad influences and stuff, but even say academic pressure that you see your peers doing well, and there is this hunger that you also want to do well, and sometimes that doesn't work out. So how
Hmm.
does and I'm not sure of how it works in a professional environment since I'm a student myself, but how does one kind of deal with peer pressure in that way, where you have to kind of find your own being while you're in college, because even in college you have all kinds of people from all kind of political ideologies, people who have all kind of perspectives on life. And some people are very oriented towards studies, some people are not so oriented towards studies. So how does one deal with that kind of peer pressure, and how does one make themselves say they're unique person?
Peer pressure will only come in once you start comparing yourself with others. The bottom line is, uh, I don't care if you are a top ranker or if you are at the 1000th rank in your state or in your country. Both of you are going to go get jobs. Both of you are going to go and make a living. Both of you are going to be successful if you work at it honestly. And the why has to be clear. One has to be clear about why I'm doing something. For example, like you are doing law. So your why has to be clear. Why do I want to become a lawyer? Is it only because of the degree that I'll get, the respect that I'll get? Is it only because of the money that I'll make? Is it because of the power that I'll have? Or is it because I want to be, able to help people who other not so good lawyers may be able to help? So your why needs to be extremely clear. And once your why is clear, then the comparison habit just goes away because you are focused on what I want to do and what I want to achieve. I don't care if another 100 people are achieving more than me. You have to meet your own expectations. You have to set your expectations. This is what I expect from myself, like 80%, 85%, and you try to meet that. And even if you are the last ranker in your class with 85%, I think that is good enough because you have met your expectations. And uh, it's not about just college life or school life, professional life. Even if 80 years old, there'll always be peer pressure, there'll always be comparison with others, there'll be n number of expectations people will have from you. And the basic idea is no matter how good you do it, no matter how many people you are able to please, there'll always be someone who will be disappointed in you. We need to accept that first. We are not here to please people, we are here to express ourselves and we are here to achieve our goals. That's the bottom line, I think.
Right, right. So, sir, one more question is that, so even as a professional or even as a student, sometimes you reach a point where you feel saturated. Where you reach that you're just climbing a plateau. That
Hmm.
you don't see any real progress. As a student, I also feel that sometimes there are phases when you are just say not you're trying to work hard. But you're being consistent. You are not neither going up nor down. And there is like one, you're just
Hmm.
in your life, you have just saturated. And even as a professional, I'm
Hmm.
sure there are times when your professional targets or your personal targets, you just feel that you are not progressing. You are just there. You are not going
Hmm.
over or under. So how does
Well,
one kind of deal with that saturation?
Ishan, I'll just add a little more to what you were asking. Not just professional, but a lot of people also personally have these issues when they are not able to, reach to certain target that you were supposed to lose weight, you were supposed to do this, you were supposed to do that, and despite trying everything, you are not reaching where you were to reach the targets that you had set. And then there comes a time that I want to give it all up. I don't want to do that. So how do you tackle those situations when it's really overwhelming to deal with it?
To beat saturation, there are two things that I would like to point out. One is having a great hobby, and the other is taking vacations. Let's tackle both of them one by one. So, uh, you need to definitely have one hobby that you give 10-15 minutes a day that you really enjoy doing. And it's not like everyone else is doing it. That's why I'm doing it. For example, they maybe your group might be into sports, they might be into football, cricket, something, and you go and watch the games along with them just to be part of that group. That's not true enjoyment. True enjoyment is something that gives you joy. It could be reading a book, it could be playing an instrument, it could be talking to your friends on the phone, could be anything. And it's really different for each and every person. Not everyone loves the same things. So you need to put that into your routine and you need to do that anyhow because that is one thing that will give you an emotional boost. When you are feeling joy within, then you stop worrying or the worrying reduces. And once your worrying reduces, then definitely you are in a better state of mind. That literally pushes the saturation point away. There's always a saturation point. It cannot you cannot do away with it, but it pushes the saturation away. And the other point is taking vacations. This is something really underrated. I'm not talking about going to Europe. That's that's not just what a vacation is. Taking a vacation means taking some time off to yourself, to your family, and just coming back to normal. Just noticing everything that you have achieved so far, noticing what you want to do, and just being relaxed about it. Not thinking about ye nahi hua, but focusing on okay, I've done this, good. I've been able to do this, good. Like you said, like let's take an example of weight loss. If someone weighs 100 kgs and they have kept a target of reaching 90 in 6 months, and they are able to reach 93. They are not able to touch 90, but they are able to reach 93. The problem is people focus on I have not been able to reach 90. They do not see that I have lost 7 kgs. That's a huge success. It's better than not losing any weight, right? So that is one thing that we need to develop as a habit, to notice on what you have achieved instead of what is still pending to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, sir, I think somebody from the audience has asked in the group chat that how
Mhm.
does one deal with anxiety, especially in the early years of practice when there is not a lot of inflow of money, for individual practitioners, especially for advocates, especially for practicing advocates who do litigation. A lot of people would relate that in the there is this stereotype that at least 5 years to like 5 साल तो लगेंगे practice को establish करने में. So,
Mhm.
there is not a lot of inflow of money during those 5 years. It's really a time where you have to struggle, where you have to, kind of work, work hard, but you don't get paid. You're never paid your
Mhm.
worth in those early years. So how does one deal with that
Mhm.
kind of anxiety when, there's not a lot of inflow of money?
Right. Actually, Vinay, I'd like to elaborate on his question a little more. It is said that like how doctors really need initial years to only train themselves to be able to treat the patient right. Even lawyers need to practice under their seniors to know how do you counsel your clients. How do you go about with the profession, and because in litigation, specifically in litigation, it happens that you end up spending so much time at work because 11 o'clock is the deadline. The next day you have to be in court, you have to deliver it, you have to manage your clients who are really demanding, especially when it's a criminal matter. The pressure is really high. There is high demand on delivering on or before time. So anxiety happens. I like to give you an example. So I was making copies of a lot of papers, and the deadline was that I had to give it by 9 o'clock. Okay. And I had mixed up those papers. So when I saw my senior coming in, I sort of panicked a little more. Oh my God, now he's going to ask and I don't have it ready. So when I did not have it ready, I couldn't tell him anything, and papers were all over the place. So that fear that comes in the minute anxiety. So my senior was like, if you really have these anxiety issues, then you may also want to think about quitting this profession, because you can't function with anxiety in this profession. It's always going to be
Mhm.
there. How would you deal with such situations then? Yeah.
So what happens is we don't look at the bigger picture. What we focus on is what is happening right now. I'm not able to deliver this. And if you look at the bigger picture, as I said earlier, your bosses were here, they've been through this, they know the kind of mistakes that happen, and even though they might fire you for them, like why did you do this wrong? It's just because they want you to improve. It's
Right.
not because they think you should not be making mistakes, because without making mistakes, you're not going to learn anything. If your journey is smooth, if you're not making any mistakes, there are so many things that you don't learn. I myself have found this as profound in my own life. If you are not making mistakes, that means you're not doing anything. And what we tend to do is we tend to look at things from a more curative point of view. We let the anxiety come in, we let it destabilize us, and then we think about, oh my god, now what do I do? I need to come out of this. What do I do now? I strongly believe that we should be focusing on preventive measures rather than curative measures. So if you follow all the tips that I have shared throughout this webinar, if you
Right.
create a routine, then I'm definitely sure that your anxiety level will not reach as high as someone who is not taking care of their body, who is not taking care of their mind. And the other thing is, uh, so if you have reached the stage where you think, I'm a mess now, nothing that I do is going right, then you can seek professional help. There are counselors, there are coaches who are there to help you, who have been through all of these situations.
Yeah.
And people think that I should not be seeking professional help because what will others say? Like he's not mentally stable, etc. It's a lot better being called crazy by a few people than wasting your entire life not being able to achieve anything. And as I was talking about preventive measures, I think everyone should see a counselor or a life coach at least like once or twice a month. I don't care if you're doing really well, having someone to listen to you, having someone to coach you will improve the way you do things. It will make you more productive and things will become easier, I think. What the
Right.
society does is once you are dealing with these issues, once you get into depression, then people ask me, how do I get out of depression? There are ways you can do that, but it's a lot easier to not fall into depression than come out of it.
Right. So, I'll just add on to what Vinay was saying. For a lot of lawyers who feel that litigation is an underpaid and high demanding job, I think initially it does, but you need to set your priorities straight. If finances are something that you really want, then you might want to think about joining a corporate instead of litigation. Make some money and come back to litigation. You can sort of have a plan. You can structure it in a way that you need to currently analyze, is learning your goal at the moment, or making money apart from just learning is one of the most important aspects of your life. So you can alter your situations in a way that there are more things, there are two jobs that you can take up at a time. One could be the part time, one could be the full time job, and then you can accordingly manage those situations. But yeah, you will be the own your own person to decide what actually works for you.
Right. And let me add on to that. You
Yeah.
spoke about not having a lot of money.
Right.
Uh, we have time. Everyone has the same 24 hours. What we can do is while we struggle with money, as you said, you can either take a part-time job or you can uh, work on learning new skills that will help you make money in the future. There's no skill that goes waste. You know,
True.
people say that some people learn languages, different languages, like some learn Spanish, some learn French. People say, what are you going to gain out of this? I'm very sure somewhere in your life, if you have learned the language, it will become useful to you. Um, Let me give an example of myself. I was talking to a client the other day at my work, and he could not speak proper English. He was from Mexico, and he was trying to converse in Spanish. And I've been learning Spanish for the past 3 years now, on and off, but I've been learning it, and I felt so good that I could understand what he was saying and I could respond in
Yeah.
a decent manner.
Right.
So there's no skill that really goes waste. That's the point I want to make.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So, sir, I think even in this previous answer, you kind of answered my next question. But just to get a bit more clarity, and I think this will be one of the last questions, is that at what point do you say that, one should seek professional help? Forget about being a legal practitioner or forget about being a student. Or,
hmm,
at what point does one say that, maybe it is time that I go out and seek professional help? Because we can have as many conversations about mental health as we want to, but it's all of that is going to be shallow if people actually don't get the point of actually going to somebody and talking to them about mental health, because it is so stigmatized in the society to say that
right.
I say anxiety issues or say I am going through depression. It is so stigmatized in the society.
Yeah.
So how
Like,
does one?
if my friends get to know I'm seeking professional help, people sort of feel really uncomfortable that, people around are going to judge me that I'm a maniac. So a
Right.
lot of people hide those things and they do not seek professional help. What do you have to say to them, and how do we deal with that situation?
When it comes to measuring it, like what is the exact point where you should go and seek professional help, there's no measure for it. There's no measure for stress. So it's every individual's perspective. They are the best person to know that okay, now I think I definitely need help and I cannot go on doing things the same way. I cannot go on doing things uh, in the same manner and getting the same results. So the point at which you need to seek professional help will differ for everyone. But coming back to the point I was making earlier, let's not get to that point when things start getting out of your hand, when you are noticing that I'm not able to achieve what I want to achieve, one should immediately start seeking help. Even if you don't want to go for professional help, just consult with your friends or your seniors or your family members who have been through such a journey. They'll be definitely able to guide you how to do things in a better way. It doesn't have to be a counselor initially. You can even take help from your friends. And
Right.
like you said, my what will my friends think if they see that I am taking professional help? Maybe my friends are thinking the same thing. And once I come out that I have gone to a counselor, I'm seeing a counselor weekly, maybe they also will go and start seeing a counselor. Maybe they are feeling the same pressure because of which they are not doing it. You might be able to lead them into their own transformation journey. So we should think about what we need to do for ourselves and not care about what others think. And in a way, you might help others who are feeling the same things, who are going through the same thing.
Right. That makes a lot of
Right.
sense. Yeah.
So, sir, I would encourage anybody from the audience if they have any questions to raise their hands, and I'll unmute them afterwards. So until that is happening, sir, so as you were mentioning that you had written a book.
Yeah.
So how has that experience been for you, and why was that book written, and what does the future hold?
Uh, so the reason I wrote the book is I have been through a lot of challenges myself, and I went through a lot of resources that helped me, and I tried out a lot of those things, and then they eventually helped me come out of that situation. So what I've done in the book is I've basically shared the concepts that I use on a daily basis and that have helped me come out of challenging situations to where I am today. And it's a unique kind of book. It does not have chapter one, chapter two. It has 26 chapters alphabetically aligned, and there are 26 different concepts that I talk about in the book. And there are also exercises at the end of each chapter. There are there's a short summary at the end of each chapter so that you don't have to go through the entire chapter again and again. And right before I end the chapter, I ask a question that is going to make the audience think, seriously think about what they want to achieve in their life. So my motto was, if I have struggled so much with something, I should definitely help others. I should ease their path and help them reach the same situation in a much faster and easier manner. And
Right.
it's available on Amazon Kindle right now. It's not The paperback is not yet available because of the lockdown that we are facing, but the book is available on Amazon Kindle. I can share the link later if needed.
Sure, sure, sir.
Yeah.
So, just one more. When I was reading about the book on Amazon, something that struck
Mm.
out to me was that, you mentioned that every time you read the book, you might come away with a different answer,
Mm.
which is like one thing I've like found about good books is the same thing. So some of the great books that I've read is like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, or Atomic
Right.
Habits,
Right.
or
Mm.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. All of these books, they have very one unique thing is that you can read them again and again and again and again, and every time you read them you come away with something different. So
Right.
I think that is very good. So that is such a great thing about a book. So if anybody has questions, I would again encourage people to either write in the chat box or unmute them. So
Yeah. Also, if anybody would like to reach out to you, Vinay, are there any coordinates that you would like to share,
right.
where in case they need any help or any guidance from you?
Sure. We can share my Facebook link uh, in the webinar itself. Let me just put it out into the chat box.
Yeah. I'd like to take your leave, Vinay, and Ishan. Please join me later on. After you finish the webinar, I'll have to begin.
Right.
So, Vinay, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Ruchika.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Ishan, you can take the questions and then join
Okay,
me
ma'am.
later. Yeah. Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Ruchika. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
So, sir, somebody had asked a while back that what is your opinion about taking quick naps? That when we were talking about sleep, so somebody had said that how about taking power naps during the day?
Uh, it's one of the best things that you can do is take a power nap because that immediately restarts your system, it reboots your system. Uh, just like on a computer or on a smartphone, when it's getting slower, when things are not working, and you just restart it once. It takes 5 minutes. Takes 10 minutes for it to reboot completely, but the processor is fast again. You can use it for the best purpose again. So even as we are talking right now, we had a test run about an hour ago before the webinar. So between that test and the actual webinar, even I took a power nap because I'm a huge fan of power naps. They really help you calm yourself down.
Right. So so I said, do you have time for more questions, or is this are you do you have to go?
It's okay. I can be here.
Okay, so sir, again, something coming from say a student is that
Hmm.
you always feel say you're always say afraid of the future, in the sense that being a law student, you see people, fellow students who are say sons and daughters and everybody of say big lawyers or judges or Supreme Court judges. So you're afraid of entering an industry which is so heavily influenced by nepotism, which is again a
Hmm.
topic which has come into debate a lot in the country in recent
Hmm.
times. Even our
Hmm.
profession, it is riddled with nepotism. I think that's a
Hmm.
very unsaid fact about it, and that's a very
Hmm.
accepted fact even in the industry, that people just accept that if you are not from say a family of lawyers, you will have to struggle say twice as long or maybe
Hmm.
thrice as long, and you'll have to work thrice as hard just to be on the same level. So how does
Hmm.
one kind of deal with that fear of the future, especially as a student? Because we are not that mature. We are still making out what kind of life, our perspectives on life. So how does one deal
Hmm.
with say that fear?
My opinion is if you have to struggle twice as much to get to somewhere that someone else is getting there easily, I think it's a blessing that you have because the more you struggle, the more you learn. They might get there faster than you, but to stay there and to reach new heights, everyone has to struggle. Everyone has to go through new challenges and learn new things. So, if you talk about nepotism, and let me ask you, are there any great lawyers who are not from a law family? There might be many great lawyers whose parents were not from a law family, or none of their ancestors were in the law. So it's not necessary to be in a legal family to succeed at legal things. But what I think is you should take the struggle as it comes. You should take it as a challenge and you should try to overcome it. That way, you will learn more, and the more you learn, uh, even though it may take time for you to reach a particular level, but you will stay there and you will go 2 levels beyond that.
Right. So I think, sir, we can end the webinar now. It was great talking to you. This has been a great webinar, and it has been over an hour. So
Yeah.
this was a great conversation, and I'm sure that everybody who has participated will agree to it, and everybody who goes back and watches this webinar, which a lot of people do after it goes up on websites, is
Hmm.
I think they'll draw a lot from this webinar as well. So I think at the end, I just want to thank you for coming onto the platform and giving us all of these great tidbits about life, and coming, being a student, it was great listening to somebody who has guided me so much. And, it was great listening to some verified advice, some advice that has actually worked from somebody. Because as students, you
Hmm.
always struggle to
Hmm.
find these people in life, find mentors in life, because you can find all kinds
Right.
of people. There are a lot of people who want to influence you, but it's always important to find the right influences in life. So, sir,
Correct.
thank you for coming onto on the platform and giving us these tidbits. And thank you, Raji sir, for his time as well, and thank you everybody who participated in the webinar. And I think I'll end the meeting now. So again,
Thank
thank
you
you
so much. Thank you for
everybody.
having me
Thank you,
here.
Mana.
Thank you, Rajiv.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you,